Hello everyone, and welcome to day one. I am super excited. I'm super excited to start that 3-day event with you all. Oh my god, I have been feeling so kind of high all day long because there was a lot of excitement for me going on. I couldn't wait to start today because this event is going to be so special, and it does bear a special meaning for me. So whoever is joining me live, please say hello, say anything or send an emoji. First of all, because I want to be sure that I can see the comments inside the group, because sometimes there are some problems with comments. So please say hello to me. Please send anything to let me know that you're here. I will also open it on my screen just to be sure that we are all here. Okay, I don't see the comments on my phone. That is already great. I only see them on my screen, but it's okay. We will manage. I will keep my screen open. But then again, guys, I will have to apologize in advance that if I skip some of your comments, it's because they don't show on my screen here on my phone. Okay, so as I was saying, welcome to day one of our Deep Soul Healing event. I'm so excited to see you all here and to share with you everything that I want to share. Well, of course, I mean, over the 3 days that are going to happen. And as I said, it has a special meaning for me, this event. And first of all, because I believe that what is happening right now in the world, we are all going through a global traumatic experience, right? So a global healing is more than necessary for everyone. But at the same time, it has a special meaning for me because I have been going through my own healing not so long ago, and it's just kind of finishing right now, although I do believe that there is still more to do, but the big part of it is done for myself. Like that's why for me it's really special, that the time when this event comes. Okay, so I'm super excited. I'll share that about that a little bit later, as I tell you about myself a little bit. But right now I actually wanted to celebrate you guys, to celebrate every single one of you who decided to join me today, because this means that you stepped up for yourself. You decided to stand up and say, I want to heal. I want to feel better. I want to have an amazing life. And you came here and you chose that time to be with me. And I want to celebrate you for that. I want to honor all of you for that thing. So I am reading your, so I will be looking down at the screen because it's on my computer. So I have to check your messages that come up. I'm quite bummed that I cannot see them on my screen here on my phone, but I see that everyone is joining. So hello everyone. Hello Lisa, hello Margaret, hello Giovanni. I already probably missed some because I see more comments. So hello everyone. As you are joining me live, please say hello. And I actually wanted to tell you that I know that there are a lot of you who have never seen me, right? Who have just met me maybe last week, who maybe saw my comment or saw my event somewhere, and you just decided to join me, but you're totally new to my world. Oh, I finally see something. I finally see some things appearing on my screen. Maybe it will be fixed. Oh my God, I hope so, because it's so much easier. So I wanted to ask you guys, who is new here? Who is totally new in my world? Who has never listened anything from me? Who has never watched anything? Who is here for the very first time? Please tell me who is new. I'm so excited to see who of you. I mean, of course, some of you I already know, and I know that you're in my group, and I know that you have been following me. But I'm so excited to see who are the new faces here. How many are there? Okay, so I see some people. Hi, hello everyone. So the people who are new, I really wanted you to thank you for your trust. You know, that you are trusting me today with this event, and you're trusting to give the time that I'm going to take, because I am planning to make it a little bit around 1 hour, but I never know, because when I start speaking, thoughts just bubble in my head, and it can stretch a little bit more than that. So be prepared to be here with me at least 1 hour, and I thank you very much for that. So for those of you who actually are new, I want to take that occasion not only to thank you for being here, but also to share actually my main group. in which one I share a lot of things, in which one, because as you all know probably already now, this group is a temporary one. It's just created for this event. That's why I'm going to drop my main group here, so that if you feel like you want to join it, feel free to pop in there, because that's where I share all my content, all the things that I do, and it will be really, really valuable if it feels like for you that it resonates and that you resonate with me. Okay, so I will start with presenting myself. My name is Maria Katolikova, and I am a soul realignment and mindset coach. And what I do exactly is that I help women connect to their soul. I help women remember who they truly are and find their soul purpose in life, so that they can create a really authentic and fulfilling life in every single area. Although my focus at the very beginning was mostly career oriented, now it's not anymore. It's a bit broader. It became broader for myself for various reasons. But this is what I do. I help women and sometimes men. I know that there are men who joined this event for me with me this time, so I want to honor and thank you too. So I do work with men sometimes, but mostly I'm focused on women, and I help them find themselves, basically find their true selves, connect to their soul, so that they can in their turn, you know, go out in the world and make an impact and make money being themselves and have amazing relationships and have amazing health and have an amazing life just in general, so that we all can raise the vibration of this earth. Because when we are happy, vibration raises, right? And that's why I'm here. That's who I am. Just a brief introduction for you to know me. Okay, so I will read some comments that I didn't see. So hi from Texas, in this wet winter, but still watching you. I'm on the road. Okay, well, cool that you joined us on the road anyway. I hope that you'll come home soon, so that you can actually, you know, that there will be things that you might want to write for yourself. So it's better if you're not driving, okay? But anyway, you can always watch a replay as, you know, as it will be available. Okay, so coming back to our deep soul healing, right? To our deep soul healing event. I told you it has a very special meaning for me. Not because we are all going through this traumatic experience in the world, and you know, it touches us all in different ways. Because if you look around, people, at least that's what I am noticing, that people are very, very much in fear state right now. They feel confused, they feel, you know, they doubt themselves, they are uncertain about the future. There's a lot of confusion going on, there's a lot of negative feelings going on in the world. But more than anything, I find that people literally forget who they truly are right now, okay? And this is why I wanted to do that event, to help you remember who you are, to help you remember that you are powerful. You always have that power within yourself, and you know that there is hope. This time that we are going through right now, it's not forever, it's going to be over, and you are going to re-emerge on the other side of it a completely different person, probably, right? The true you. And I know that this year sparked a lot of awakenings in many people, and it has been happening through the entire year, and I think still that it keeps happening. So it's a wonderful time, actually. If you look at it from a little bit different perspective, it's a wonderful time. So, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing it, because I do believe the more we kind of live in these negative feelings, all of this anxiety and stuff, the more we disconnect from who we are, the more we disconnect from our soul, and it becomes very hard to live a really fulfilling life, right? Okay, so who can relate to that? Who of you are experiencing some of those feelings that I mentioned, like this fear and uncertainty about the future, or maybe like self-doubts and whatever? Who can relate to that? I really would like to know. And I'm hoping I can see at least anything on my screen, any of your comments, because for now nothing much is happening for me. It is so annoying. But please tell me who can relate to that, who can relate to those feelings. Up. So Nicole said me. I see Nicole on my screen. And Lisa and Kay, who said definitely uncertainty for the future. Yeah, this is what I also observe in a lot of people. I relate. Okay, yes. So yes, you understand what I'm talking about, of course. So this is why I think that really spreading love and healing right now is really necessary. It's really something that could serve so many people, okay? So that you can all remember that who you are is a powerful being, right? So if you heal yourself and you come back to who you are, this fear will stop affecting you that much. That's why I'm doing it in the first place. But not only. I'm going to share with you my very personal reason why I'm doing that. And I will ask you to bear with me because the story is a bit crazy, let's say. And I haven't shared it yet with anyone, I mean publicly, on the social media, because it's quite recent and still quite raw. But I wanted to share with you because, you know, all those feelings, I have felt them not so long ago. Like only 3 months ago, I was that girl who was absolutely consumed by fear and anxiety and wondering what the heck is going on with me, and not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy of anything, absolutely living in all those negative emotions inside myself. But at the same time, I have been going, like pushing myself further and further to serve other people. I was like kind of fulfilling everybody's needs. My partner, my family, my clients, my group that I adore and I love spending time there. But at the same time, I was ignoring my own needs. I was literally closing my eyes onto what's exactly happening inside me. I'm just checking if there are more comments. Okay, nothing missed yet. Okay, so, and what was happening inside me? It was a tornado of negative emotions, of negative, yeah, mostly negative emotions, negative feelings that I could not even explain to myself. I was feeling not good enough. I was feeling like out of touch with my personal worth, and despite all the success that I had in my business, with my clients, despite having all those great testimonials and great stories and everything, I just could not connect back to my worth, and I kept just wondering, what's wrong with me? What exactly is wrong with me? And I couldn't find the answer to that question. I was like, it was crazy. For me, in my head, it was crazy. I brought myself to the point where I was like feeling constantly, I am missing something. Like all the people out there in the world, they know something I don't, and I am missing that, and I'm screwed up. I will never get better. So I was feeling that. Well, needless to say that my relationship took a blow as well during that time, because I brought myself to the point where I started thinking that maybe I should leave my partner, because like he's going to be done with me anyway soon, because I'm crying all the time and I am whiny and I am nothing, I am worthless, and he will leave me anyway, so maybe I should leave him before he does that to me, you know? It came to that craziness. These thoughts were in my head like not so long ago, although I love my partner and he loves me, but this was the negative vortex that I was carrying in my own head that was consuming me like really a lot. And I was going through such an emotional turmoil that I could not really understand what's going on. Like I was basically going from feeling okay, calm, to absolutely like falling apart and falling into tears within a space of hours, day after day. So, hello lovely ladies who are joining me now. I see that you are joining me on the phone, but no comments. Anyway, sorry, I will take a sip of water because I'm losing my voice for whatever reason. Okay. So, that's what was happening with me. And funny enough, somewhere, well, at the beginning of September, I actually hired a coach for myself, because just before her, like during summer, everything was kind of going calm and peaceful and fine in my business and everything was flowing. So I hired her to make things even better. And the funny thing is that the second I started working with her, like everything absolutely went to hell. Like I started this emotional roller coaster which I couldn't get off from, you know? And not that I blame her or anything, no, I don't blame her, but just to tell you that there was something deeper going inside me that I was not addressing at all. I was just ignoring and pushing it down and telling to myself, everything is fine, nothing to worry about, you just need to work on, you know, on these surface things that come up to you every day and everything will be fine, but things were not going fine. So, and I was pushing myself like this until a certain point, until the point where it wasn't possible anymore. Like I was in the middle of a launch at the end of the year. I was launching another group program, and there came a day when I literally collapsed. Basically, I couldn't continue anymore. I couldn't like show up anymore for for my group, for my clients, for anyone, because I was so exhausted. I exhausted all my strength. I exhausted all my energy. I exhausted all my positivity. I couldn't spread it anymore because there was nothing left inside me. And that's when I knew, like, this collapse happened, and I knew I have to stop. I have to pay attention. I have to finally give my needs the space that, you know, that they need to be addressed. So I will check the comments because I see that there's something popping. That's how I feel now, like something is missing. Yes, I can relate to that. I was there not so long ago. Don't feel I'm worthless. Feel like I'm supposed to be doing something and I don't know what. Yeah, it's more lost, right? In your case, it's more lost, Nicole said. So yes, and that was the moment when I kind of decided I need to stop. I need to stop, suspend everything, and just pay attention to myself. And that was one of the hardest decisions for me to do, honestly, because I kind of had that thought again, when we are living in our stories and our wounds and stuff, we have this overly dramatic stories going on in our head. So my overly dramatic story was that if I stop, everything is going to collapse, and all my efforts will go like nowhere, to waste, they will disappear. So it was very hard for me to stop, but it was, I kind of felt that it was inevitable and necessary at that moment. And so I finally did, because, you know, like sometimes you reach that point when you tell yourself, okay, girl, you are a fucking mess, a hot mess, and you cannot continue destroying yourself and hurting yourself like with these hurtful words and self-criticism and keep pushing anyway and not addressing it. So you have to kind of stop, take a breath, take a break, and change something. Have you ever like reached that point in your life when you just say, okay, enough is enough. It cannot go like this anymore. Have you ever felt like this in your life? I'm very curious to know, because from that point, for me, things changed dramatically, and I'm going to tell you what happened next. That's where the craziness starts, actually, in a sense. And yes, I will ask you to bear with me a little bit longer, because I think it's so important for you to also understand how our soul wounds sometimes show us the way, actually. So I see the comments. Kay said, when I look back, I see that those collapse moments are times when I should have pivoted, got the courage to pivot back in July. And that's awesome. Yes, I also think like that. And sometimes we just don't have the strength to do that, right? So if anyone else had that kind of moment in their life, please tell us, because it would be really nice to know that you can understand what it is. But anyway, so after I made the decision for myself, kind of to stop and finally examine what's going on inside me, that's when the weird shit started happening. Well, basically, first of all, I wasn't sure what I needed to do. When I stopped, I was like, okay, so what's next? I had no idea. I was totally lost. You know, it's like I felt like I forgot everything I ever knew, and everything I ever taught to all of my clients or in my group. It's like I forgot totally everything. It was like a big foggy something in my head going on. So I didn't know what was supposed to be the next step for me. And at that moment, like 3 months ago, I was still quite hazy on the concept of surrender. Like I didn't know what it means to actually surrender, or how do you even surrender to whatever. So I was kind of lost in that sense, but because especially my coach kept telling me, you need to surrender. And I was like, the heck, how do I surrender? I have no idea what it is. Okay. So, and I was basically trying to listen to what's happening inside me, but there was so much negative self-talk going on, and it was so loud that I couldn't hear anything else. Like literally, I couldn't hear none of my like this wise voice that sometimes we all have, right? We all have that voice inside ourselves, the gentle one, which can lead us further. But I couldn't hear anything, and I was just crying most of the time. To be honest, nothing else was going on. I was just, even though I stopped, I still kept crying. And there came one morning when, like we woke up with my boyfriend in our bed, and we kind of look outside, like in the window, and it was like a very nice sunny day. And he tells me, "Look, today is such a wonderful day. It's so sunny," because I live in Luxembourg, and those of you who are here, you probably will confirm that we don't have that many sunny days. So when it's there, it's actually like a reason for celebration and for being grateful. So, and me, I looked at him, I looked at the window, I looked at him, and I was like, this day sucks. I suck. I am a failure. I am good to nothing. I'm just a parasite. I destroy everything I touch. I don't deserve to live on this earth. I want to die. Like, I blurted it out in a space of seconds. I just spiraled into such darkness that, like, it terrified us. Me and him at the same time. You know, like, it was this moment when you just, like, it just comes out of you, like, I don't know, as if it was not me talking. You know, and then I burst into tears, like in the crazy tears, without any reason. I just woke up. You know, in that moment of darkness, I actually could hear the voice inside me tell there's an entity attached to you. And well, I had no idea what it is, obviously. You know, I have never had to deal with such things. I had a slight notion of what it could be, but I never even read anything about it or anything. And obviously, it was not logical. It sounded crazy, right? But that's when I knew that's what surrender means. Surrender means listening to that gentle voice inside you that tells you something and follow it, even though it seems crazy. Even though it seems like, oh my God, where does it come from? And so, like, at that moment, I felt like I was like struck by lightning. I stopped crying right away. Like the second it was, like, I heard that thing in my head. And I turned to my boyfriend and I said, like, there's an entity attached to me. Obviously, he looked at me like I'm nuts. And he was like, okay. He kept a very calm face, like poker face. What's next? You know? And I didn't know what's next. I didn't know what's next. But I knew I can find. And that's how my healing actually started. From that moment on, you know? So, what I started doing afterwards, obviously I started researching of what entities are, how they attach to us, why it even happens, and, you know, how do you detach? And of course I started doing things to detach that thing from me, and it did detach eventually. But the more I was reading, the more I was discovering that actually entities attach to us when we have some, we are like energetically vulnerable. And what makes us energetically vulnerable are some kind of traumatic things that are going on in our life, or maybe happened, and they left us wounded, and these wounds are open. Okay, so, and of course I came back like a flash. It came into my head, the review of the whole year and the things that happened, and it made me so, like, it was obvious. Okay, I have some wounds that are bleeding right now, and that left me so vulnerable to that thing to come and attach to me, you know. And that was kind of a revelation, in a sense. You know, I was like, it dawned on me, oh my God, I've been wounded, and it probably doesn't come from 3 months ago. It comes from somewhere like longer. So I started reading about soul wounds. I started educating myself. And the funny thing, the more I read about it, the more it was like in my head, I already know all that. Like intuitively, somewhere on a deeper level, I already know all that. You know, it's nothing new. Let me just read the comments, guys, because I see that they're going, and I'm missing all of them. Nicole said, now with my grown son's room. I know it may sound silly, but there are rooms are a mess. I feel weird telling them because they're adults. I guess you wrote something before and I just missed it. I don't know what it means. So Margaret said, emotional breakdown, hot mess, unmotivated to live life. I can empathize. Oh yeah, okay. So Nicole said, yes, I get that a lot. Surrender. Yeah, that is an important concept, to be honest. The one that actually helped me a lot. Alexa said, I can't find motivation to help myself, but always get energy and motivation to help others. And we will get to that. There is an explanation for that. You will see. So yes, as I was saying, like, I started educating myself about wounds and like how they are created, and realizing that I have already been doing this. And of course, like, the more I was reading, the more I was recognizing instantly, almost instantly, which kind of wounds I have. And I started my healing. And well, it didn't take me one day. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a process. So I was doing certain things that I'm going to talk about later, like on day 3, because that's when we are going to do that. But I started my healing process. I started doing things I haven't been doing before. I started prioritizing myself. I started finally putting myself first, basically, you know, and recognizing that I haven't been doing that, even though I actually believed I did, but I wasn't doing that. And, you know, the more I was doing my healing, the more I was going through this journey, the more the fear was kind of replaced by this calm and peace inside. I literally stopped crying. Like, since January, I haven't cried once. Like, it's already been more than 1.5 months and I haven't cried, and it's like a big change, like a big breath of fresh air, like really feels nice. And I feel that my creativity is back. I feel that my strength is back. Like I'm not exhausted anymore. I don't spend my time in bed, like lying there and unable to even lift my hand or anything. But more than anything, the biggest change that happened within me is that now, like, I feel I am worthy. I am worthy of all the beautiful things that the universe has to offer, and I'm opening myself up to those things. I feel my value. I feel that I am needed. I'm not a parasite. I'm a generous and good person. So all of that things started changing slowly inside me, you know, and that is a big shift. That is a big positive shift. That, like, it's a wonderful feeling, to be honest. And also I came to one big realization, like one big thing that prompted this event, that prompted all the things that I have created since, is that I finally realized that for all these years, even since I started being a coach and working with people, I have been rejecting the fact that I am a healer. And there were certain events that happened also during my healing period that made it so obvious that I have been rejecting that, and it's time to own it. So I did own it finally, you know, and it feels so different. It feels so different inside myself, and it's like recovering a piece of yourself which was somehow buried so deep you didn't even want to address that. But you know, like when you recover it, it feels like, it's finally me. And that was like a big thing that happened over this time. Okay, so why did all of that happen? All of these changes, all of these events happen for one simple reason: because I have finally decided, you know, to commit to myself. I have finally decided that I deserve attention from myself. My needs deserve to be met, and I decided to make that commitment to myself for the time that it would need. I didn't know, honestly, when I just stopped, my first thought in my head was like I would need 6 months to recover. Or maybe a year. Like it was scary to even think about that. But you know, what do you know? It only took like 1.5 months in total. But anyway, like I committed myself to giving myself the time that I needed to heal, to come to my realizations, to awaken even further. And that is the best commitment I have ever made for myself in my life. Okay, and honestly, from that moment on, I reviewed all my work through the lens of being a healer, and it made me realize that I have always been healing people. I have always been like healing my clients, even in the time, like since 3 years, although I have never been calling that like this, because from the very start of my work, I was focusing more on helping women, well, come back to their authentic selves and find their purpose. And like I thought initially that simply giving them the tools to explore themselves would be enough. And I came to the realization, like slowly, that well, finding our soul purpose is not that easy if we're disconnected from our soul. Now, if we're not, like, we're not really disconnected fully ever, like it never happens, but the connection can become so thin that we cannot hear our soul speaking to us anymore. So I realized that working with women, because what I saw as a general trend is that I see them as so talented, so beautiful, so wonderful, so full of gifts that they can give to the world, while they saw themselves as like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough. Oh yeah, I don't have anything to give to the world. Yeah, something is wrong with me. Something is missing inside me, and I need to fix myself first. So they were totally blind to their uniqueness, to their gifts, to what they have to offer to the world, because they were disconnected. And that's why I kind of shifted already some time ago to start working on that part first, to connect them back to their soul first, before we even do the self-exploration. And you know, when I was reviewing it through the healer perspective, I was like, oh my God, I have been healing women anyway from the very beginning. But now I'm doing it consciously. Now I'm doing it like owning it, and it's a totally different story. Like it's a totally different feeling, and it really changes a lot. So why am I saying that? All of that. Why I wanted to share my story with you is because at any moment of our life, like in any moment of your life, you can be either a victim or a warrior. Okay, you always have the choice. You can either be connected to who you truly are, or fully disconnected and forget who you are, okay? And it's always about choosing who you want to be going forward in your life, okay? You can choose either way. And you know, I finally chose to recognize who I was. I finally chose to decide I'm not a victim anymore. And I'm not going to say that this affects me or that affects me or that will define how things are going for me, because I was doing that a lot, to be honest. And it was not an easy realization to come to. But I decided I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a warrior. I'm a healer. I'm here to guide people to the light. I cannot hide anymore. And that changed dramatically the way things are, okay? So these 3 days that we're going to spend together is basically a culmination of that, of my healing, and also my way to share with you what I learned, what I understood, so that you can heal yourself, so that you can find your wounds, because awareness is always the first step. Because when we're not aware of the enemy, you know, we can't fight it, right? But when you become aware, you already become empowered, okay? This is the very first step. So, and that's what I wanted to do with you today. I know it was a bit lengthy introduction, but I felt that it was important to share that with you, so that you might have recognized yourself a little bit in that story, maybe from a different angle, but still. And so that you can start already drawing parallels for yourself a little bit. So shall we dive into the whole workshop now? Okay, let's start. So, well, when we are born, when we are little babies, well, I mean, when we're children, we are actually always connected to our soul. We are born knowing what our purpose is. We are born, you know, following our joy. Because, like, if you take a look at children, if you have any children in your life, if you can take a look at them, you will always notice that they always follow joy. They do things that they instinctively feel like, yeah, I would love to do that. They're not questioning whether it's right or wrong to do that. They're just doing it because their soul is guiding them to do those things. And our soul, what does it want for us? Well, it wants us to accept every single bit of us. Like every imperfection, every flaw, every talent, every gift, every personality trait, all of it. To accept it in the first place and then share it with the world. Express yourself fully in the world. And that's what children do most of the time. But as we start growing up, as we start, you know, like entering the adult world, I mean, even as a kid, as a child, okay? What happens very often is that we go through various experiences that kind of start making us think that it's not such a good thing to show ourselves as who we are, like to show our authentic self to the world, okay? Because maybe we get punished or judged by our parents for the things we do. You know, like for example, let's say you were a kid and you drew something on a wall because it was an expression of your creative side, and you wanted like to draw something on the wall because it felt like your room will be so much more beautiful. And then your parents came and yelled at you for that, or judged you, or punished you, like put you in the corner. Like that already kind of sent a message to a kid like, okay, this is not good to show who I am because I'm going to be punished. And or maybe you were rejected by someone. For example, you went to school already and you were rejected by your classmates because of, I don't know, the way you spoke or the way you looked, for whatever reason. And again, so you met rejection, right? This is not a pleasant feeling. And you might have like made a conclusion that, well, yeah, if I show up as myself, I will be rejected. Or if you were abused, like this is of course one of the biggest things that can affect a child in a very profound way. If you were abused physically or emotionally in any way, again, you will decide that, yeah, I cannot even be myself with people who I trust because they will hurt me, okay? So, and there are countless examples of how it can happen. There are countless examples of how we can kind of decide that showing up as my true self is dangerous. It's not a good thing. I'm going to be punished. I'm going to be judged. And we begin experience this disapproval, this punishment, this rejection, all these kind of negative things, right? And for being who we are. And we decide that maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. And that's when our wounds start happening, start creating, okay? Because, of course, when this experience happens in our life, what happens? We feel ashamed, we feel maybe hurt, we feel not accepted, we feel any array of negative emotions, right? And initially what happens in children, because children are still very pure beings, first of all, there is a rebellion happening, okay? So that's why you sometimes see children throwing tantrum and like rolling themselves on the ground, no matter where, because that's what their way to show that, yeah, okay, I don't agree. I don't agree. And this anger, these emotions that they show you, it's just the way of the child to say, yeah, okay, I still want to be myself. But most of the time, this is not addressed, right? So what happens most of the time? We give up. And we decide, okay, I'm going to create that nice personality, which will have all the traits that my parents like, or like my teachers like, or my classmates like. And I'm going to stuff everything else behind that personality, all my pain, all my rejection, all that shit that the world considers shit. I'm going to hide it all behind that mask. So, and that's how this, like, we start losing ourselves little by little, because we live more in this mask personality, this created identity that we have, that we show the world, and we live less and less in who we really are. Okay, and we hide behind that mask because we don't want to be hurt anymore. We don't want to suffer, but that leads to disconnection from our soul. Okay, so what are our soul wounds? Well, in simple words, soul wounds are these deeply emotional wounds that, well, injuries basically, that we carry inside ourselves due to some experiences that happened in time, like when we were children. Well, I wouldn't want to say that it only happens as it only creates when we were children. No, it can be created later on in life, but very, very often it happens when we are children, actually, because children are very sensitive, very receptive, and in the very first years of our life, like very first 7 years of our life, that's when we form all of our beliefs about the world, and that's what actually happens. So when we have soul wounds, they are the basis of our core beliefs. Those which define how we see ourselves, how we see like other people, how we see love, relationships, whatever, like life in general, world in general, whether we see it as a safe place or like as a dangerous place. It really starts being the basis of all of our core beliefs. And of course, our beliefs, they affect the way we show up in the world later on. They affect all of our behaviors and choices we make, you know, like, and how we show up in the world. So, and, you know, we all have beliefs about basically how we should be, because that's what this personality tells us. You should be this, you should be that, to be able to be liked, to be able to be accepted. And this is exactly the reason why we cannot be who we really are, because all those shoulds, they don't allow us to do that for ourselves, okay? And, well, we'll talk about beliefs tomorrow. Actually, I don't want to dive into that today because it's a whole topic for a whole conversation tomorrow. We're going to dive deep into that, where you will have much more understanding of what exactly I'm talking about. But for today, I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to share this about beliefs, is that beliefs are always affecting what we experience in life. Like, they always create our experiences in life. And for example, if you believe that you're lovable, you will always have love in your life. Like, if you believe that you're a valuable person, like that you have a lot of value and worth, you will always probably have like great high-paying jobs, okay? Because the world gives back to you, like what you believe, it reflects it back to you. But if you believe that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, you're unlovable, like all of that again is going to be reflected back to you from the world. So that's why you will keep like having relationships where your partner doesn't respect you, or having jobs where you cannot really make your ends meet, you know, because your salary is so low, or you never feel valued at work, you know, like you always feel like nobody respects you, nobody is even noticing whether you're here or not. These kind of things. It's not because people are bad, okay, or because like life is unfair. It's because of the beliefs that you carry. And for me, back in time, like before I even became a coach, of course I wasn't aware of any of that. But it was one of the hardest pills to swallow, you know, to realize that, yeah, the way I believe, whatever I believe, I'm going to create it in my life. So the more shit I believe about myself, the shittier my world will be, actually, okay? Because we are powerful creators. We create our reality, and this is exactly how, with our beliefs, okay? So, of course, when we are wounded, when we carry wounds, you might imagine that the beliefs that we carry about ourselves, they're not good. Because that's what our soul wants to do to us. They make us think that we are broken, we are not good enough, we are like shattered, we are useless, we are unlovable, we are ugly, we are not smart enough, you name it, you know? That's what our wounds do to us most of the time. And of course, yeah, you start kind of perpetuating that story in your life, okay? You keep living through these beliefs and you keep attracting the experiences that prove you that you are right. This is how it works. This is why it is so powerful. This is why our wounds, you know, they need to be addressed. Because like eventually when we start experiencing all those negative things in our life, what we do, we start protecting ourselves, right? We start like putting barriers between us and the world, between us and other people, because, well, we don't want to be hurt. We don't want to experience pain anymore. And to some extent, yeah, it does protect us. Not for a long time, but it does protect us sometimes from different things. But eventually what it does to us is literally traps us in our little world. The one that we created for ourselves. The one that has these thick walls that we cannot, you know, trespass to create meaningful connections with people. And this little world does not allow us to be who we are. It doesn't allow us to authentically show up in the world and experience freedom, like the true freedom. Because what is true freedom? It's simply being who you are in the world, to be able to express yourself fully, unconditionally, without any restraints. This is true freedom, okay? And that's what's happening with when we have soul wounds. So let me check if there were any comments. How would I know which beliefs are sabotaging me? We will come to that tomorrow. There will be things I'm going to talk. But I mean, this is also part of the process that I do with my clients, you know, through my programs. But tomorrow you will have a little bit more insight because, well, we'll see. I'm not going to share it now, but tomorrow we will come to that. Okay, so what else happens? Like when we have these soul wounds, we create obviously pain-based personalities, you know, the identities through which we live. Because what happened? Like we take this experience that happened to us when we were a child, there's something traumatic, something painful, and we attach a meaning to it. Because if you think about it, not a single experience in this world has meaning on its own. And if you have one experience and you will have 10 people experiencing that event, I can guarantee that these 10 people will attach a different meaning to what happened. And of course, I mean, it's because we are all different, because we all see the world through different pair of eyes, right? And that's why there is no one meaning which would be like identical with another person. There's always the truth, the fact, this is one thing, but how we interpret that fact is kind of the story that we start telling ourselves. These are the beliefs that we start drawing from what happened to us. Like taking that example of a kid who drew on a wall and, you know, was punished. Maybe he started thinking from that moment on that, okay, something is wrong with me. I should never paint. It's a bad thing to paint, you know? And imagine if you come out of this situation from that belief and the painting was actually your gift that you were supposed to give to the world. Well, you will never give it because you believe inside yourself, well, painting is wrong. Painting is not a good thing. So, and that's how our pain, like wounded personalities affect us, okay? They start telling us stories. We begin to believe inside ourselves that we are somehow a bad person, or we are broken, or something is missing, or something is wrong with us, whatever, you know? So, and these wounded stories, they keep affecting our life until we address them. Like they keep running in the background like a program, you know, like we all have programs. Like imagine a computer, right? Computer has programs that you never touch sometimes. And it keeps running until you decide to change that program, okay? That's how our beliefs work. And our soul wounds can be, well, they can actually happen because of one experience, like which was like very traumatic for a child, but they also can happen as a result of something much smaller or maybe consecutive events, you know, that kind of stacked upon each other, and then they created a wound. Like, for example, if I had to give something concrete, like such thing as any kind of abuse, like emotional or physical abuse, can easily create trauma. Of course, it always creates trauma. Most of the time it creates trauma, and create wound behind it, okay? But for example, if you were constantly rejected by your parents or by whoever, it can still create a wound, which would be as big and as serious as the one that comes from trauma. So, and this is the trap for many people, actually. And actually for myself as well. I wasn't even aware that I had such certain wounds because I didn't attach so much importance to the kind of things. So the trap is that sometimes when we look at other people who go through something really bad, like rape, for example, right? And then we have something minor happening. Yeah, our parents punished us for whatever. We kind of deny the validity of that thing happening. We kind of tell ourselves, oh, well, she had it so much worse that, well, I think it's nothing. You know, it doesn't affect me. Well, it's not true. Our soul wounds form at any moment when you as a child or as a person went through something that felt emotionally intense. It could have been any kind of emotion that was like obviously negative emotion. Like it could be shame, it could be fear, it could be extreme, like you were in danger. It could be like anger as well. It could be anything, okay? But it was intense enough for you to kind of shape your world, okay? That is like an important thing to do. So, and if you start defining yourself as broken or, you know, shameful or whatever, or that the world is a dangerous place, like if you already know now that you have these kind of thoughts in your head, like, yeah, I'm broken, or something is wrong with me, or like, what's wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or that this world is a dangerous place and people are out there to hurt me, like you can be sure that you have a soul wound. This is one of the biggest indications, because that's what they do to us. They make us see the world as dangerous, people as, like, you know, predators who will hurt us, and ourselves as maybe bad people or broken or something is wrong, okay? So this is like one of the biggest indications. And of course it will significantly influence your life, every single area. There is not a single area that would be untouched by that wound. And, you know, you will continue living by your wounds unless you literally find the root of them and address it and rewrite the whole thing from the very start. Like those stories, those painful, harsh stories that you tell yourself about yourself and the world, okay? But all this being said, I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, this is so horrible and like there is no way out. No, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. You know, like if you have soul wounds, it doesn't mean that you're doomed. You can always change, okay? And every time you experience something, like every time there's a bad experience, bad event happening in your life, it's actually a direct indication of what exactly needs to heal within you, okay? All these experiences, of course, I mean, you need to see them for what they are. This is a hard thing, actually, to see bad experiences not as a punishment or like a karma or whatever, or you were a bad person so and you deserved it, but see them as lessons, okay? Because that's what will allow you to kind of have a look at what is really happening. Why am I having this? Why is it happening in my life? And, you know, once you're aware, you can change, okay? And of course, once you have cleaned this soul wound, once you allowed it to heal, you know, you will become a source of light for other people, because this wound, this healed wound, will become your source of life for your life, for the work that you need to do. Because our wounds are very, very often, like they are the beginning of your purpose in this world. They will show you the way to your purpose. Like once you've healed them, you will see what you're here to do, okay? They will kind of, this is the bright side of it. Like, because I mean, in my experience, I have seen people who cleaned, who cleared their wounds, you know, who let them heal, and they are the biggest source of inspiration and light and love and acceptance. And the people who live unaware of their wounds, they live in total misery. And you can see them. They will be always complaining, they will be always whining, they will be always saying that the world is like, it sucks, life sucks, nothing is working, it's a nightmare. So that's what our wounds like make us say and make us experience over and over and over. Okay? So I have talked a lot. Do you have any questions so far? that you want me to kind of explain more or anything, or I will continue. So let me know. I'm checking this screen. So I see Kay who said, your posts have helped me in the past several months. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. And I don't know if you noticed the difference between the posts that I was posting past, like somewhere at the beginning of autumn, and now, because for me they are different. There are certain things that I realized and I kind of want to share with others. So if you don't have any questions, guys, then I will continue, okay? We still have a lot of things to cover for today. So just let me see where I stopped. Okay. So when we go through these traumatic experiences in life, or any deeply emotional experiences, actually, soul wounds is not the only thing that happens to us. We don't only get soul wounds. We also experience such a thing, which is called soul loss. And there are different takes on what soul loss is. I'm going to share with you two different views. You can choose whichever one relates to you more, okay? But so soul loss occurs, like according to the shamanic view, soul loss occurs when like a fragment of your soul leaves your body to protect you from an extreme pain due to some kind of this traumatic event, and it never comes back, okay? Well, it doesn't come back to your body. This is a shamanic view. From a psychological point of view, soul loss occurs when, like, again, a fragment of your psyche dissociates from your main consciousness and kind of hides in the subconscious, again, to protect you from very extreme pain that, you know, happening in the experience that you're going through right now. So basically, soul loss is a fragmentation, and it's a disconnection from who you are, from your soul, okay? From these two perspectives. And what it does to us, like the biggest impact that it has, is that, like, for example, well, it creates this sense that I'm not myself anymore. I'm not whole. I am missing some bits inside myself. Like, for example, I experienced that when my mom passed away 3 years ago, 3 years and a half now. Like, for several months after she passed away, I really couldn't feel like I am myself. And I could feel that a part of me went with her. Like, wherever she went, it went with her. Like, I even kept saying this, that a part of me died with her. You know, that's because that's how it felt. That's how soul loss feels. But eventually, I think I recover, because sometimes our soul comes back on its own. You don't always need to work on bringing those parts back, but most of the time, unfortunately, it doesn't, and for various reasons. And what else it does to us is, because our soul is our essence, it's our vital energy. So when we lose the beats of our soul, like more and more we lose it, we feel tired more and more. We feel kind of exhausted because our life force is gone, right? Like, the more it goes away, the more we feel tired. And basically the theory is that when all of your soul is gone, well, you're dead, okay? That's why when people die, well, soul leaves, okay? So, and what it also does to us is that, like, some of our talents and gifts become temporarily unavailable to us because they hide together with that piece of your soul. Like, obviously, I adhere more to the psychological point of view, that this dissociation that happens. And I have seen it happening with people, that when the part of themselves is dissociated, like it's not there with them anymore, they are not aware of their gifts anymore. Like, certain, they cannot remember, they deny them even if they're in front of their eyes. So it's because of that. It's because they are kind of become temporarily hidden from us, okay? And we feel like this big void inside ourselves, this big feeling that, yeah, it's something is missing. So we are trying to always fill it with something from the outside world. And that's when, like, a lot of addictions start developing, like overeating, like consuming alcohol or drugs, even overworking and overgiving is the same. You know, it happens very often when we lose our soul. We start overdoing stuff, you know, and these things, they are like a clear indication that something is missing. Oh, we have a guest here, a guest star, second star today. Okay, so yeah, so if you feel these things inside yourself, that's kind of a clear indication that the part of your soul might not be there with you for now. You know, it doesn't mean that it cannot come back, but no, right now it might be missing. Okay, so, and this is another thing. So does it make sense, this bit? Because that is the second bit that I had to realize for myself, that parts of my soul were just gone and flying around somewhere. So I needed to bring them back into myself to feel that, you know, like to feel that I'm a whole person and I'm not shattered anymore. Does it make sense? Before we go to the main part, because next I'm going to go into explaining to you what kind of wounds exist, and that would be the most interesting bit for you. Because right now it was a lot of theory, a lot of explaining, a lot of background, but now we are going to go into really seeing what kind of wounds actually exist. So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to move on into the main part, basically. And that will be very interesting, actually. Okay. So I will continue. If the questions pop up, obviously I will address them, because I know that there is a small delay on the screen. But yes, feel free to ask whatever you want, okay? So there are 5 core soul wounds I'm going to share with you today. And so they are the wounds of rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, and injustice, okay? So I'm going to describe these 5 wounds to you. Basically, when these wounds are activated in us, we start wearing a mask. We adopt a mask to protect ourselves, okay? To, you know, to that corresponds basically to the behavior that is not a normal behavior for us, okay? So that would not be something that you would do if you were your true self, okay? That's what a mask means. And as I'm going to go through these 5 wounds, I invite you to listen very carefully. I will try to speak slower as well. I invite you to listen very carefully and make mental notes, or even maybe written notes for yourself, of the things that really truly resonate with you, okay? Like, I really want you to make those notes, because it's super important, because that's how you will be able to see what kind of wounds you might potentially have. Because when I read those descriptions, I could identify instantly what I had, because that's so telling, like, you know, signs that telling you, okay? So if you have something somewhere to write, so it would be even better, okay? So the first wound is the rejection wound. I mean, there's no order actually, but I'm starting with the rejection wound. And what happens, like, people with this wound, they live in constant fear and anxiety that they will be rejected by other people. And as a result, they start wearing a withdrawal mask. So they withdraw themselves from the people in the first place. So people with the rejection wound, in general, they consider themselves as a family freak. Like, they don't belong to their family. They always feel like, yeah, I'm not from this family. I'm weird for them. And they always have a feeling that they don't even deserve to exist. They shouldn't have even been born in the first place, okay? And they are constantly dissatisfied with themselves. They feel like they are insignificant, meaningless, like less than nothing. They shouldn't even exist. They, like, these kind of thoughts are very dominant in this person's head. They often feel that they need to escape this world. So, and they, of course, they find ways to escape by developing addictions very, very often. Like, it can be video games, it can be food, again, alcohol, drugs, whatever, shopping, whatever you want, okay? So that's what happens for the people who have this rejection wound. They also feel like, as they put on this withdrawal mask, you know, they hide from the world, basically. They try not to draw attention at all from people. So they will dress in very dull colors, like they will be like a gray mouse, so that if they go unnoticed, that would be perfect for them, okay? And they feel rejected at the slightest criticism. Like, if they hear anyone criticizing them just a little bit, even if it's a constructive criticism, they will feel rejected right away. And at the same time, they keep attracting these experiences where people criticize them and they feel more and more rejected. And they tend to never ask anything from anybody because they're afraid to hear no. For them, hearing no would be like a shot in the head. Okay, and they find that it's very difficult to live on this planet because they're really misunderstood and rejected all the time. Okay, and despite the biggest need that these people have to connect with other people, what they do subconsciously is that they reject other people in the first place, so that, you know, they don't need to be rejected, so they reject others. Because at the same time, they also don't think that they deserve to have any connections, so that's what they're doing. Like literally, I had a person with whom I spoke a couple of weeks ago, and that was her issue. Like she came to me saying, I'm always being rejected, I'm a nice person, I'm outgoing, I'm open-minded, but people always end up rejecting me. I never have any relationship that go any further, you know? And as we started exploring, and I started asking her questions, like when we came to the question, like what would, about relationships, she started saying things like, well, but if I start a relationship with someone, I would need to, you know, like work hard, I would need to give my energy, I would need to take care of that person, I would need to spend my time, which like I wouldn't be able to spend on myself, so I would rather be alone. And that's when it hit her. Like, I mean, obviously I made it clear for her. So you are putting all those barriers. You tell yourself on one hand, I want to be with people, I don't want to be rejected, but on the other hand, you tell yourself, I'd rather be alone because I don't want all that stuff. So people with rejection wounds always very often end up rejecting others, but they don't know it. They do it on such a subconscious level that they don't know it. Okay? So this is number one. Oh, there's a comment. So Margaret said, thank you, I have to go to work meeting. I'll finish watching later today and look forward to the next session. Sure, no problem, yes, but just watch in order. As I said in the very first video that I created in the group, watch everything in order, don't skip, okay? So this is the rejection wound. The next one is abandonment. And people with this wound, they are actually terrified of being alone. This is their biggest fear. So as a result, they start wearing dependent mask. They become super dependent on other people. And what happens very often for these people is that they have troubles living toxic or abusive relationship. They find themselves stuck in these relationships because for them, being alone is worse than being abused. They see it like this. They kind of tell themselves, I would rather be abused and in whichever way than be alone. Okay, so that's why they find themselves stuck in these kind of relationships. They often have this deep sense of sadness that that's kind of pervasive, but they don't know the exact reason of why it's happening to them. They often develop a victim attitude to attract attention, you know, like to draw pity from other people because they crave attention. Like they are afraid to be alone, so they crave attention, so that people are always in their world. Somebody is always in their world. So they very often become like this defenseless child when they meet angry or aggressive people. Like they kind of draw themselves into their own shell and they feel like defenseless, very like a victim. Okay, and as I said, they become very dependent on others. So it's very hard for these people to make decisions without consulting others. It's very hard for them to not be clingy in relationships. So they become very clingy, very needy, very demanding. They like to over-dramatize stuff. They become jealous. They become possessive. Like they make the life of their partner like a living nightmare. Not because they consciously want it or they are bad people, but because they feel like so afraid of being alone. Okay. And very often as well, these people ask for advice, again, to draw attention into their problems, you know, like to talk about their problems, but they never follow it. And it pisses people off. Like it turns people away from you when you do this kind of stuff, okay? And they also have very low self-conscious, very low self-worth, and they constantly compare themselves to other people and feel like they never measure up to anyone. Like they always feel inferior to every single person around them. And yes, what happens very often that these people, they crave attention, but people very often become bored of them because of this drama queen attitude, you know, because of this overly dramatizing behavior that they adopt. Okay, so this is abandonment wound. The next wound is humiliation. People with this wound are actually terrified of showing who they truly are to the world, because they believe that they are fundamentally, like they are fundamentally ashamed of themselves, and they believe that if they show their true colors to people, they will just be rejected right away, because nobody can accept what they are. Okay, that's what they do, and as a result, they start wearing a masochist mask, meaning that they hurt themselves and they allow other people to do the same to them. Okay, and they always feel very, very unworthy of everything, and they try to prove their worth to others by any possible means, especially like to other people and especially to God, because it's very, very important for them to be worthy in the eyes of God, but they never feel it, so they spend their life proving that point to others. So that's why these kind of people, they very often end up doing everything for others and doing nothing for themselves. They absolutely ignore their own needs because they find that it's shameful to go after your own needs, because you are such a bad person. You know, like you are a shameful person, so your needs are shameful too. So these people end up helping everyone around and not themselves. And the interesting thing here is that often these kind of people start kind of telling, yeah, I love helping other people because it makes me happy. Well, in reality, the truth is that they would rather help others than go after their own needs because they find them shameful. Okay, that is kind of a trap for this person, for these people. And yeah, I'm just checking if I didn't. Yes, the other theme of these people is that they feel that they cannot experience joy in life. They feel like they don't have the right to experience joy. It's bad. It's like a sin for them, because very, very likely they have been punished for doing something pleasurable and joyful as children, and now it became like a bad thing for them. So joy became something to be ashamed of, and they have very big trouble in life in that sense. Okay, so this is the humiliation wound. We have 2 more to go, and tell me if I'm going too fast. Tell me if you don't have the time to catch me, but I hope not. Okay, so the next one is the betrayal. Betrayal wound. How it happens, how it shows is that people with this wound are always afraid. Well, they always have mistrust in everyone, including themselves, and they are terrified of making mistakes. And as a result, they start being a control freak. They wear a controlling mask. So what do? They always impose their opinion on others. They need to show their authority. They need to show that they have power. They attach a lot of meaning to titles and like reputation. It really means a lot to them, so they will always kind of go after that to hide the wound behind. They are the biggest perfectionists. They will always push themselves to be perfect until I don't know what, and they will expect that from others too. They will not tolerate any lies or any broken promises from other people. Again, everything has to be perfect. As they never trust anyone, like they don't trust their lovers, they have like a real difficulty to open up in relationships and trust their lovers, and even to trust their co-workers, so they cannot delegate work. They find themselves like buried under work very often because they just cannot give away anything to anyone they don't trust. Like they cannot trust. That is like a big thing for them. And they need to plan everything. Again, as they have a really big need for control, like they need to control stuff, they cannot plan anything and leave. No, they plan all the time, and they cannot leave anything to like flexibility or whatever, like going with the flow. It just cannot happen in their world, because then it would mean, oh my god, I don't have any control over what's going on. For them, control is what they need. Like they crave it so much. And they absolutely cannot show their own vulnerability and admit that they have problems, like share their problems with others, because again, that would be like, they feel like if I share something vulnerable, if I share my problem, the person will use it against me and they will betray me, they will reveal it to others and whatever, like they build the whole story around that. So this is the betrayal. I have a question. Is this a narcissistic aspect? I don't know, actually. I don't specialize in narcissists, so I don't know who they are exactly. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know if this is a trait of a narcissist. But just to tell you about narcissists are simply deeply wounded people. They're not bad people. They just have a lot of wounds that make them behave the way they do, and they're not aware of it most of the time. Or if they are aware, they kind of feel that I'm so fucked up, I'm so screwed up, nothing can help me. So I know that very often we kind of find that narcissists are very bad people, and I had to deal once with a narcissist in my life, And at that time I didn't know anything, and of course I came out of that experience believing that he was the biggest jerk on this planet. But now that I know better, I have a deep sense of compassion for these people, because they're simply very deeply wounded. They have not one wound, I have a bunch of them, and that's why they keep hurting other people. Okay, so if that helps a bit. Okay, so moving on to the last wound. The last wound is the wound of injustice. And what happens with these people? Their biggest fear is cold and dry attitude from other people. Basically, lack of this emotional connection. They are terrified of not having it. And as a result, they themselves become emotionally withdrawn. Like they lose touch with their own emotions, okay? So, and they start wearing what is called like rigidity masks, okay? And they really have troubles showing their emotions, which means that their relationships really they struggle with relationships, because they would not be able to show another person that they love them, to show any warmth, anything. So it really puts huge barriers in the person's relationships. They always need to be as well perfect. They have that thing as well, that trait that they need to be perfect. They feel that connecting with other people would be dangerous as well, like because they might be denied the emotional connection, from others, because they have been denied emotional connection probably by their parents back in time, and that's what created the wound in the first place. They are also very often afraid to be wrong, so they find themselves justifying themselves a lot, like just to prove that they are right, and they are explaining what they have said, for example, or what they have done, so that it's very important for them to prove, yeah, I was right, and everything was done in the right way, it was just, it was fair. For them, the notion of fairness is really important. Like, for example, they have big troubles to receive in their life, especially if they receive more than someone else, because that wouldn't be fair in their world, like they sense this deep need for things to be fair for everyone, like equal for everyone. They also have a lot of doubts in terms of their own choices. They cannot trust their own judgment, and they will double, triple, quadruple check whatever choice they're making before they even make it. And very often, people with this wound can be very unjust to other people, and at the same time not accept that they are being unjust. Like if somebody points it out, they would not accept, because for them this notion of justice and fairness is so important that they become blind to their own injustice to others. And they also like knowing and feeling that they are right, and saying that out loud. And they often tell, although their life is not perfect, they like to say that it is, that everything is fine. They would never tell you that something in their world goes wrong. So that's the mask that these people are wearing. Okay, so these are the 5 wounds. Now, just a small, like before I ask a question, a small thing is that I wanted to let you know that probably, very likely, you have found some of the traits in every description, or maybe several of them, and that's totally normal, because we all carry at least one wound, but very often more than one. Very often, because of the way our childhood was, different experience affected us differently, and if you got one wound, it kind of opens the door to other wounds to happen even more easily for you. Okay, so it's totally possible that you have more than one wound. But I mean, again, I don't want you to feel like you're doomed and like nothing is going to save you anymore. It's not the whole point, right? The whole point today is awareness. So my question to you: in which wounds did you recognize yourself? Alex said, I'm in all 5, at least partially. And yes, that can be. That can totally be. I recognized myself in 3 when I was doing my healing work. I had doubts about the 4th one. I don't think I do have it, but I had doubts. But 3 were like instantly, yep, that's me. So what about other ladies? In which ones did you recognize yourself? Okay, sad. Humiliation and rejection. Okay. And tomorrow you will be able to connect a bit more dots, because tomorrow I will be talking about what kind of beliefs we create around the wounds, around each wound. And you will be able to see whether they actually resonate with you. Because most of the time, most of the things I have found for myself were like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's how I see myself. That's how I see others. That's how I see the world. That was pretty revelating for me, at least. So if anybody wants to share, feel free. It's not an obligation, of course. But as I said in my introductory video that I did, like a small video, I told you that I encourage you to share. I encourage you to actively participate. Because that's part of the healing process, okay? Not just watch a video and like do nothing, but really engage actively into what's happening right now, okay? But if you feel like it's too much for you to share, I totally understand. Only share what you feel comfortable to share, okay? Just to help you a little bit, like if you're still kind of on the fence whether you have any wounds or not, can happen, I want to help you a little bit more. The biggest telltale sign that you do have some kind of wound in your life is when you have repetitive patterns in your life. Like if you do go through something similar over and over and over, it's a clear sign that you do have a soul wound that needs to be healed, and this experience is pointed out. And what do I mean by that? Repetitive patterns. For example, maybe you keep being bullied. No matter where you go, you always find a bully who will be poisoning your life. Or maybe you're always dating an available man, like those who cannot commit. Or maybe you always keep having abusive, toxic relationships. Or maybe you're skipping, like jumping from one job to another, you know, and you never find a place where you belong. Or maybe you're always criticized by everyone, like you always find yourself being criticized. This is what I mean by patterns, you know? And I know that each one of you know yourself very well. So you probably know what kind of repetitive stuff keeps going on over and over and over in your life, and you probably wonder why the heck it's happening, right? Because that's exactly how it was easy for me to see my wounds as well, because I saw a pattern in my life, okay? So that's kind of how it can help you identify as well. That would be part of your homework for today, actually. Because there will be homework. I didn't tell you that, but there will be homework. And of course, you're free to do it or not to do it, but I encourage you to do it, okay? Oh, I have a comment from Henriette, who said, I think it was the second. I love my own space. I found it hard to let someone in. It's probably then rejection. It's actually rejection then. That's the first one. If you put barriers for people to get in, well, it depends if it's emotional or not, but if you just really find yourself struggling to have people in your life, then it's probably rejection, because you're terrified of it, okay? Okay, coming back to this repetitive patterns. I know that I briefly already mentioned that, but I want to repeat that very often, it's like a word of caution, very often, when these kind of patterns happen, what do? We blame other people. We start thinking things like, oh well, everybody is like, every man is a jerk, like every man on earth is a jerk, or like people are toxic nowadays, or like employees are always squeezing the employers are always squeezing employees like lemons, stuff like that, right? We start blaming it on the outside. Or we can start telling ourselves, we take the position of like, yeah, if that happens to me, it's because I deserved it. It was karma. It's a punishment for stuff that I have done, either in this life or in the previous life, and that's why it keeps happening. So a word of caution. If you see this like this, if you see your experiences, your repetitive experiences like this is not helpful. This is very damaging, okay? So, and I encourage you to change the perspective on these events. Does it sound true to anyone? Does it sound true? Do you actually do this? I know I was doing it. Not everywhere, but in certain things. Like I kept repeating as things like, this is my fate. Or something like that. Like really, something really stupid. Now that I look back at that, it feels like, my God. Okay. But Does it sound like something that you do as well? I'm very curious. But anyway, like the point of why I said that is because, as I said before, these repetitive experiences happen in your life not because you're bad or because like it's a punishment or as a proof that you're a bad person. No, they're happening to show you that there is something that needs to heal inside you. Like, if you keep going over and over through the same thing, but you keep ignoring it and like simply blaming it on someone else, you would never see the lesson inside that thing, okay? You would never see, okay, that's happening, maybe because of that and that and that. Maybe I need to pay attention to this and this and this, right? This is definitely something to think about. Like, change perspective on these events. Start seeing them as blessings in disguise, honestly. If you review all the negative experiences in your life through the lens of it was my blessing, so what is the thing that I took out of it, you will see, you will take out a lot of stuff. And it will empower you, really. It will be like a really helpful exercise for yourself to do, but at the same time it will show you what needs to heal, okay? This is like a great indication. That's what I wanted to share with you. So, as I said, I will give you questions for homework. There will be two questions, like, let me copy them and drop them to you. Where are they? Okay, here. So that's what I want. I invite you to reflect on that, because for me this will give you a lot of clarity about your life. So there will be two questions. Okay, here. These are the questions. And there's another thing that I also invite you to do. Well, it's not really a question. I will write it anyway for you to have here, so that you don't forget. But I invite you to simply go like through your day, like until we meet tomorrow. I don't know if it's just the morning for you or it's already the evening, but I invite you to go through your day and notice where your behavior reflects these wounds that you learned about today. Okay? Just like a little self-awareness exercise, like where do you react through your wound? And maybe, if you want to go a little bit further, kind of stop yourself before you go and react, if you can. I mean, I know that at the beginning it's just awareness. It's much better to just become aware before you change something, just become kind of trained to see that. So I invite you to do that for yourself for the upcoming day, okay? So this is your homework. And as I will be finishing for today, I'd like to finish on something uplifting, because I've told a lot of problematic stuff for now, right? But I wanted to finish with something uplifting. So no matter which wound you kind of have, they all impact us in a very similar way. So we are all coming out of it with the conviction that maybe we're not good enough or not worthy of good life, or something is wrong with us, okay? So this is kind of a major theme that comes out of all these wounds. And the process how we remain stuck in these kind of stories is also the same. It's like something happens to you when you were a kid, or at whichever moment in your life anyway, but often as a kid. Like, you attach a meaning to that thing that happened. Like, you develop a story, you start telling yourself that story. And in general, that story tells that you are somehow weak or bad or not good enough or whatever, like, and that is the reason why you keep struggling, okay? And you go through your life repeating that story to yourself. And of course, like, you look through that lens to every single thing that happens to you. And of course, it doesn't create a fulfilling life, right? It creates a very broken life. But the truth that you are called to awaken to today is that there is not a single story that can sum you up as a person. We are very complex, right? And the relationships that you keep going through that like make you feel like meaningless or insignificant, or the jobs that don't feed your soul and don't pay you the money, enough to pay, just barely enough to pay your bills, they are just built on those stories, right? They are built on the very, very weak foundation of your wounded beliefs and stories. But you can rebuild. You absolutely can rebuild. And awareness is the first step. As I told you today at the very beginning, that awareness is always the first step to healing, because it allows you to step back, and step out of your story. Basically become an author of your story rather than this main character who keeps playing the role over and over and over. And when, for example, in the situations where you would normally feel like and be reactive and fearful, Awareness allows you to kind of step back again and maybe enter the situation with more courage or confidence, right? Awareness, like in the situations when your wounds tell you that, okay, there is no way out of here, there is no choice that I can make here, awareness allows you to understand that your judgment about yourself is not the same thing as the fact. They are completely different things. Like your belief stories about yourself are not the same as the fact. And that you always have a choice what to believe, okay? And I believe that you are here not by chance. I mean, here with me during this 3-day event. Because you are being called to remember who you truly are. You are being called to come back to the truth, right? And to be aware of what's happening to you today. Like not just today, but in general. That's why I wanted to dedicate quite a lot of time to help you be aware. Like I want you to become aware of what's happening. I want you to become aware of what wounds you might be carrying, okay? So that you can start rewriting your story little by little and as an empowered author. Not as the victim, not as this main character who keeps suffering, right? But as a victor, as a warrior, as an empowered author, as I said. Because I believe that it's time to take responsibility for your life and transform it. Because once you take responsibility, you can transform it in amazing ways. And I wanted to let you know that anyone can be healed. Like, I'm the living proof of it. The clients who I worked with are the living proof of it. It can be healed. And on the other side of the wound, you will find the connection to your soul, okay? You will realize that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not hopeless. You are not a bad person. You will come back to the truth. It's your wounds make you see yourself like this. But it doesn't mean that you are like this. It's just a story. It's an illusion, right? That you are living in every day, okay? And it's kind of, I like to have this view on it. It's like a dirty lens through which you're looking at yourself right now. And as you start cleaning the lens, you will start cleaning through healing, of course. You will start seeing the truth of who you are more and more and more. It's like that joke, like I was reading recently, like a husband and a wife are sitting in a house and the wife is looking outside the window and there's a neighbor who is putting the laundry outside her window, like every day, for example. I think it was every day. And she says, oh my God, why is she not washing her laundry? Like today, tomorrow, like the next day, the next day, the next day. And then one day she comes up to her window and she's like, oh, finally, she cleaned her laundry. And then her husband tells her, no, I cleaned the window. That's how it is with our wounded stories. They do exactly the same thing to us. We keep looking through the dirty window at ourselves. And of course, we see a very distorted image. We don't see the truth. But as you start cleaning it, the truth starts being on the surface. And the truth is that you are magnificent. You are a powerful being. You are the creator of your own life. You are enough and you're worthy of all the amazing things that the universe has to offer. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of appreciation, of respect, of all the wonderful things. And they're all available to you much, much sooner than you think. You never need to feel stuck. You never need to be stuck and keep suffering, okay? You're like, right now, you're already gaining power just because you're becoming more and more aware of what needs to heal. And from that moment on, it can only get better and better. There is no way backwards, okay? Unless you just decide, I'm not going to heal. That is the only way, okay? Because I believe that there is no darkness without the light. They are like two sides of the same coin. And you're going to flip that coin for yourself. Like, you will come into alignment with who you truly are, okay? And as long as you make a commitment to yourself, as long as you're willing to be honest, to address what's really happening, and then to do the inner work, you will get there. And when you do, you will connect to your soul. You will connect to who you truly are. You will love yourself unconditionally, like without any limits, without any whatever things, okay? You will see your worth. You will stop attracting people who treat you like shit. You will stop accepting shit if it happens. You will stop chasing love and you will simply open yourself up to it so that it can come to you because you don't have fear anymore. You don't put any barriers, okay? And the world will start kind of following your transformations, reflect them back to you. The world will start changing. You will start seeing the world in a different way, okay? So, I encourage you to simply go ahead, do the self-reflection work that I gave you, these questions that I gave you. So there are 2 questions and 1 kind of mindfulness practice for the day. And come back tomorrow, the same time, the same place, so that we can dive deeper. Because tomorrow we are going to dive into the stories, into the wounded stories, into the beliefs, okay? And the last thing that I wanted to remind you all is that invite people into that event. Like, if you feel that there are people in your life who could benefit from this, who could benefit from more self-awareness, from understanding themselves, and from starting to heal their soul, then invite them in this event, okay? And I talked about it yesterday, but I'm on Monday, but I will remind you again today that there is a giveaway going on still until the 19th of February. So if you invite people into the group to be able to participate in the giveaway, you simply need to share this event with other people. And I will actually give you the link that needs to be shared, because I saw some of you were inviting people directly into the group, but most of the time people don't join if they don't know what it is about. So I'm going to give you the link that you need to share. It's all explained in the post that I had created about the giveaway. It's at the very top of the group, but I will share it with you now again. So this is, where is it? Okay, it's here. So this is the link that you need to share. Like, when you're sharing that link, simply tag me in that post when you will be sharing it, and then comment in the thread, like giveaway thread, because that's where I will pick out the names, for the giveaway. So that's all you need to do. Share that, put your name that you shared, like let me know that you shared, and that's it. And you don't need to kind of guarantee if somebody joins. You just spread the word for me, and you invite, in this way you invite people, okay? So that's all I wanted to ask from you for today, like a small reminder. Okay, so I guess this is it for today. It was a bit long, but I needed to share with you a lot of things. So go do the work, go do the self-reflection work, answer the questions in writing. Of course, I invite you to write them, not just think about them, but write them for yourself, journal about them, and then come back tomorrow. So thank you very much for being here with me today. Thank you for joining me live, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm sending you much love from me, a lot of healing and a lot of support. See you guys. Bye.